So I watched this game called Life is Strange by Square Enix, and I loved it, and I'm on to watching the other series, other games as well, and that was the inspiration for this video. So before starting, like, I was a hardcore gamer in my teens. Like, we literally, me and my brother and I had this variety of games. We had, of course, the Game Boy, and then the Game Boy Advance, the Game Boy Advance SP, PlayStation 1, PlayStation 2, and we stopped at PlayStation 3, I guess. And we had like so many games. Mario, of course, Super Mario, Spyro, and Crash Bandicoot. We also had like Resident Evil. We also had the Wii, Dead Space, Call of Duty, The Sims, Dragon Ball, and Street Fighter, Tekken, Yakuza. Like, I could go on forever. I was so into games, and then I stopped because my little sister at the time, she was like 3 or 4, I think. She had the great idea of taking the the CDs of the games and stuck them into the PlayStation 3, and then it didn't work anymore, and goodbye PlayStation 3. That's why I moved on to the computer games. Like, I used to play a lot of indie horror games. Like, those were the best. Absolutely top tier. The pixelated ones, I loved them. Anyway, and back to Life is Strange, which talks about, the first one talks about choices, taking different paths. Having to choose between one thing and the other, and then the outcome will be different according to the choice that was chosen, of course. And that brings us to the timelines and parallel universes, which I am a sucker for. I love that topic so much. And just a suggestion, like, if you haven't watched Dark, which is my all-time favorite series, which basically talks about these kind of topics, and also past lives and so on, I highly suggest it. Although people have been saying that it's very confusing and they don't understand shit, like, you know, David Lynch movies or Twin Peaks, which I've been watching. But the beauty is in the confusion. The beauty is in the confusion. I love that. Because if it was all predictable and all, you know, you knew how it went, how everything, like the storyline developed, that would be boring, right? So that's why we also have great people on the internet explaining these series or movies to us. That's what I did with the butterfly effect as well, although I kind of understood it already. And Donnie Darko as well, which is another top tier movie. I love that. I'm probably gonna make a video about movies. I just love them. And I've also been reading this book, The Midnight Library by Matt Haig, which I mentioned in my previous video as well. But it, trigger warning, it talks about suicide. Just a heads up. And it talks about regrets and regrets, yes, mostly. Okay, I'll stop blabbering about timelines and blah 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 in games, but it's such a huge topic for me. Anyway, the point of this video is that we make choices. Like, we are presented with different choices, whether big or small, every single day, right? And although it's not really like a video game, it feels like we're living in a video game. And it's also like people call it simulation, or like, for example, the Matrix, like referring to the movie as well. And we have these choices, right? We have control over these choices. For example, a job opportunity. You take it or you don't. Like, you have these two options. Will you take the job? Yes, no. What will be the outcome? It, of course, differ. And although we might have an idea of the outcome, which could be like the potential outcome that we envision could actually physically physically materialize, or more often than never, you get it, the outcome will be kind of different and what we didn't expect. But that's the beauty of life, right? If it was all predictable and we knew every single step of the way, wouldn't that be so boring? That's why I think life is mysterious in its own way, and for someone who loves learning about the universe and how it works, the different laws and blah blah blah. I lost my train of thought. Oh shit. What was I saying? For someone who loves, as I said, researching about the universe, it is as mysterious as ever. Like, I don't know if we will ever know the truth, the ultimate truth about life, why we were born, why the human race is here, and blah blah blah. A lot of things. And sometimes I lose myself in that, and it gets very complex. Anyway, I wanted to talk about the regrets that some people might have. The example of the job. You take the job and you start out well, everything is going fine, you get along well with your co-workers and your boss, but at some point things start going downhill a little bit, and you kind of regret. Okay, never mind. I kind of confused myself with remorse and regret. Let's leave remorse to the side, because anyway, regrets are ugly. And as I was reading in the book, like, you know, there are regrets that can be undone in a way. As I mentioned about the job choice that you have, like, if that job doesn't work anymore, you can always leave and look for another job, or in the meantime look for another job before leaving, so you have a security, right? But the topic of, as I was saying, referring to the Life is Strange game about different timelines, is interesting, because if you think about it, there are infinite possibilities out there. For example, there's a part of you that pursued a passion that you were very into when you were a child, and in that life you probably became successful or something else. In this life you might do something different that you were doing in childhood, or the idea that you had growing up as a child, while you were a child, in childhood. Anyway, you know, when they ask you, oh, what do you want to be, what Jesus, what do you want to be? My brain, what do you want to be when you grow up? And maybe you say this and that, and then you change your mind. And some people really have, like, since they're a child, they already know what to do in life. But anyway, moving on to the more quantum physics stuff, the timelines, if you think about it, and if you believe in them, of course, there's a part of you that in another life, in other lives, they're doing something completely different. Each choice can lead us to a very different outcome. And the regrets that we might have in the future doesn't mean that they have to stay regrets. It means that if you think about the things that you haven't done or you've done, or they can always be changed at some point. If it comes up at some point in your life and you're like, oh, I regret not choosing that specific career, I regret not agreeing to going out with that person. Sometimes regrets can be a way for you to, it's like you're given another opportunity at life. Although not all regrets can be undone. I don't know if I'm using the right word, but it's never too late in the end. Like, why do you say, well, maybe I'm too old, or maybe I don't have the skills, or I don't have the knowledge, I don't know who to ask for help? I think like when you get that idea in your head, like the light bulb effect, I don't know how to call it, like the light bulb that goes on in your head, and you think about that specific thought or situation, event that you wish was different. If it's doable, why not doing it? I feel like in life we are given various chances and possibilities to move forward and do what we love. That's the point of this video, I guess. Although I started with life is strange, different choices which lead to different outcomes. There are some things that we don't have control on, as I said. But what we have control on, we can move forward with, and we can work on that. And I know it's easy to wallow on self-criticism and, just saying, oh shit, if I had done that, if I had done this, and so on. If there is a possibility for you to do... Okay, I had to change phone. I'm using my main phone because the other one ran out of storage. I don't know why, what the heck. Anyway, I was almost finished, and all I wanted to say as my last words is that, it's never too late. And I want to encourage you to really think about how you can really change your life again and again and again. I think, as I said multiple times, life is meant to be experienced. There's not a finish lane. It's not a race. It's not a competition. It's the experience itself that make up life, like this human life as well. And it's never too late. Even though you might think you don't have the skills or the knowledge or whatever, in the end it's all about starting. It's not like you can have everything dropped on your lap straight away. Sometimes you have to do that extra hard work to get there. So all in all, what is it that's stopping you? Is it age? Is it fear? Is it comparison? It can vary. They can be all of them all at once. They, it's all about you finding what's stopping you. I cannot give like a step-by-step plan. I could, I don't know, sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't, who knows. But all in all, even though there are some regrets that you cannot change, focus on what you can change and not wallowing on what was, but being in what is, what can be done now for the future you. So I hope you understood this video. It was quite messy also because of all the timelines and games and book and blah blah blah. But life is meant to be experienced, and I will repeat this as long as am I alive. As long as I am alive, for God's sake. And yeah, think about that. Think about your life. Think about it. And yeah, I wish you a beautiful life. Thank you.